This past week proved to be one of the most merciless bear markets the New York Stock Exchange has seen all year. Hedge funds lost billions. Redditors made millions. This was no accident. GameStop, who is no stranger to threats of bankruptcy, experienced skyrocketing stock prices after a group of Redditors invested en masse, seemingly overnight. This act of financial activism was inspired by a user who saw an opportunity for greatness and placed a call on GameStop in mid-2019, valued at $53,000. After the events of this past week, this man is now a multimillionaire. On Tuesday the 26th, his call was valued at $48 million. He's known as Keith Gill, a former financial educator for a small insurance firm in Massachusetts and the host of the YouTube channel Roaring Kitty. But he's not the only one who experienced a dramatic financial change last week. Due to GameStop's rise of over 1,000% recently, it is suspected that short sellers lost an estimated $70 billion, many of whom were large hedge funds like Citadel and Melvin Capital. This did not extort any sympathy from the Reddit community or from the thousands of like-minded Twitter users who felt that hedge funds who had been short-selling bankrupt companies for many years were being deliberately malicious and skirting the law. So what does all of this mean? Are we on the edge of a revolution? The people are uniting against Wall Street giants and taking on major players that have comfortably lived in the shadows all this time. Maybe it's the common man's turn. That's up next on Billionaire Brainstorming. Money talks, wealth whispers. My name is Connor, and I am fascinated by billionaires. How did they get so rich? Why is it so hard to get there? What advice can they give to the rest of us? That's what I'm here to find out. Join me each week as I examine a new member of the world's elite in the hopes of uncovering the secrets to vast wealth and study today's events to grow tomorrow's money. This is Billionaire Brainstorming. When the market opened last Monday, no one expected the hemorrhaging video game retailer GameStop to perform as well as it did. Redditors who frequent the subreddit known as Wall Street Bets described it as going to the moon. In addition to GameStop, many internet communities, including Twitter and TikTok, rallied around other dying brands like AMC Theaters and even some alternative cryptocurrencies such as the whimsically named Dogecoin. All of these securities saw massive jumps in value as lives were changed across the globe. In addition to Keith Gill striking it rich, California-based investment firm Silver Lake saw profits of over $713 million. However, this incredible union of internet patrons was not to be celebrated for long. Shortly after mass public interest began to develop around the aforementioned stocks, billionaires began to panic.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people. And, I think it's inappropriate. We all got to work together and pull together.
That was the voice of Leon Cooperman, a billionaire most known for his influence in building up Goldman Sachs, the New York-based investment bank that heavily contributed to the 2008 housing crisis. He's not alone in his negative sentiments, as Stephen A. Cohen, a founder of the hedge fund Point72 Asset Management, was forced to delete his Twitter account due to receiving personal threats about him and his family amid the GameStop rally. It seems the interested parties of Point72 did not appreciate the 10 to 15% loss the firm was forced to endure this past week. Aside from billionaires venting their frustrations publicly, in a surprising turn of events, the White House decided to join the party. President Joe Biden's team was forced to, quote, closely monitor the situation regarding GameStop's temperamental fluctuation as major brokers like Robinhood and TD Ameritrade were forced to briefly stop all trading activity. These trading restrictions are still in place, but not without conspiracy theories. Many users on Reddit and Twitter suspect that Robinhood's questionable trading halt was influenced by the hedge fund Citadel, managed and founded by Kenneth Griffin, who the Chicago Tribune states is also a founder of the Robinhood trading app. Robinhood denies these ties, as does Citadel, and Robinhood maintains that all trades on specific securities were halted only due to, quote, market volatility. However, a recent article from Vice.com states that Citadel is one of Robinhood's largest customers, and the hedge fund's involvement is what allows users to experience commission-free investing. It is unclear who to believe at this time. Regardless, Robinhood CEO Vladimir Tenev insists this decision was in the public's best interest. However, the public disagrees and is calling it, quote, market manipulation. This is where things get interesting. Once the financial ties between hedge funds and Robinhood became a little too obvious, powerful people began to speak out. Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown tweeted that, quote, people on Wall Street only care about the rules when they're the ones getting hurt. It's time for the SEC and Congress to make the economy work for everyone. Senator Brown also indicated he would be holding a hearing on the current state of the stock market, but did not name any major players. Senator Bernie Sanders also spoke out on Twitter in a brief but powerful statement saying, quote, the business model of Wall Street is fraud. This pattern continued throughout various political leaders as the ever-popular AOC called for an investigation, and Senator Elizabeth Warren once again argued the need for a wealth tax amid the recent market boom, calling it a giant casino and playground for billionaires. Many billionaires disagree with Warren's sentiments, but some, like investor and Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, state,
how is this any different than what every brokerage firm does? But remember, when you short a stock, there's a vig on it, right? You have to borrow it, and you're paying some percentage to the whoever owns the stock and is loaning it out. And as someone who's shorted stocks many times, you know when that vig is high, you know exactly what you're getting into, and you know exactly what the risks are. And you just hope something like this doesn't happen. But again, it's not the first time that low float or heavily shorted stocks have been targeted. It's just very visible, and it's just not the normal suspects that are doing the targeting. There are many hedge funds that have made a lot of money over the years targeting heavily shorted stocks. And so I don't think this is anything different. It's just the people who are making the push aren't who we expect them to be. And so that's why I like it. When you bring people out of nowhere to really show the inefficiencies of the market, it's a good thing.
And billionaire investor Kevin O'Leary went head-to-head with the Massachusetts Secretary of State, claiming,
the definition of the market is speculation. When you buy and stay long a stock, you're speculating the profits you hope are going to finally appear, and you take that risk. The best thing we could do for this market now is leave it alone and just shine the light of transparency on it. If you are short, let it be transparent. You now run a new risk that these effective social media vigilantes are going to come after you and squeeze you as a short. That's going to make a lot of hedge funds think a second time before they try and go short stocks, which I think is great. But here's the point that I think everybody is missing. 4 or 5 years ago, we had 100 million Americans with nothing set aside for their retirements. We still do. And that's because our educational system, including the one in Massachusetts where I had my kids and they grew up in, best schools in the world, I would argue, they taught them nothing about investing. And then along comes a platform like Robinhood, and all of a sudden, kids in their 20s and 30s that would never get touched by Money Center Bank or an online broker because they're not a profitable account. They only have a few $100s to invest. Vlad and his team create this platform and now have millions of people learning about the ways of the market. And the market, even for sophisticated investors.
They're learning by losing, though. They're learning by losing.
Every investor loses money, Bill. Every loser. Everyone learns from the market.
I don't think we...
So you're going to protect me from losing money? Are you kidding? Speculation is the definition of the market.
I don't kid.
Yeah, the bottom line is when you put money in harm's way in the market, you risk it. That will always be the way after both you and I are gone.
So, what does this mean for you? Sometimes you can be much smarter than the big guys. Sometimes the big guys are actually on your side. But always beware of potential wolves in sheep's clothing. Until next week, this has been Billionaire Brainstorming. If you like the show, follow the podcast on Twitter @BBStorming for updates each week. And if you'd like to support the podcast, consider becoming a patron on Patreon at patreon.com/billionaire brainstorming. Thanks for listening.